Hello friends, I hope all of you are fine. In my previous two videos, I have explained the best Christmas present part 1 and part 2. So I hope I made it clear to you. And in this video, today I am going to explain to you the final part of the best Christmas present in the world. So, students, if you have gone through the part 1 and 2, you will see that the author has already read the letter written by Jim Macpherson to his wife Connie Macpherson. Now, he knew very well that it was wrong on his part to open that letter and read it. But still, he has done that because he has given the justification in the part 1 itself that curiosity has gone over his scruples, and it usually does for most of the persons. So, since he couldn't control his curiosity, he has gone through that letter, and after reading that letter, now he is thinking that it is his duty to return the letter to the person to whom it originally belongs. That means he wants to hand over this letter to Mrs. Connie Macpherson. So I folded the letter again and slipped it carefully back into its envelope. I kept awake all night. By morning, I knew what I had to do. I drove into Bridport, just a few miles away. So, in the next morning only, he went for Bridport and he wanted to return this letter to Connie Macpherson. I asked a boy walking his dog where Copper Breeches was. House number 12 turned out to be nothing but a burned out shell, the roof gaping, the windows boarded up. So when he found the house where Mrs. Connie Macpherson used to live, that house was in a very poor condition. It was burned out, it was destroyed by fire. Okay, and the roofs gaping means the roof was, there were many spaces between the roofs. The windows boarded up means the windows were all covered with wooden boards. I knocked at the house next door and asked if anyone knew the whereabouts of a Mrs. Macpherson. So he's asking the neighbor to know something about Mrs. Connie Macpherson. Oh, yes, said the man in his slippers. He knew her well. A lovely old lady, he told me, a bit muddle headed, but at her age she was entitled to be, wasn't she? 101 years old. So the person who was staying just beside the house of the Connie Macpherson, that person informed the author that she was 101 years old, and at this stage it's not possible for her to remember everything. So that's why she remains muddle headed, she remains confused most of the time. But she was a lovely old lady, which she has mentioned. No one really knew how the fire had started, but it could well have been candles. So we can see that Mrs. Connie Macpherson's house was affected by fire. Now, what was the source of that fire? Nobody knew exactly, but they can guess that perhaps the source was the candles. Why candles? Now you see the explanation has been given in the next line itself. She used candles rather than electricity because she always thought electricity was too expensive. So she basically used candles instead of electricity because she found electricity quite expensive. So that might be the reason that one day some candles fell on the floor and as a result the house caught fire. So that might be a reason, but nobody actually knows the reason. The fireman had got her just in time. She was in a nursing home now, he told me. Burlington House on the Dorchester Road on the other side of town. So at present, she is in a nursing home and she was rescued by a fireman when her house caught fire. So now the author decided to go to the nursing home and return this letter to Mrs. Connie Macpherson. I found Burlington House nursing home easily enough. There were paper chains up in the hallway and a lighted Christmas tree stood in the corner with a lopsided angel on top. I said I was a friend come to visit Mrs. Macpherson to bring her a Christmas present. So, when he went to the nursing home, he found that the nursing home was well decorated and they were having a mood of Christmas at that point of time. So, he also introduced himself that he was a friend of Mrs. Connie Macpherson who has come to bring her a Christmas present. I could see through into the dining room where everyone was wearing a paper hat and singing. So you can see people were enjoying by wearing paper hats and they were singing. So mood of festivity is all over, all around that place. The matron had a hat on too and seemed happy enough to see me. So the matron was also extremely happy to see this man. Why? We will come to know. She even offered me a mince pie. She walked me along the corridor. Mrs. Macpherson is not in with the others, she told me. She is rather confused today, so we thought it best if she had a good rest. So Mrs. Macpherson was not kept in with the others because at that day Mrs. Macpherson from the beginning she was not feeling well, so they kept her aside. This matron informed the author. She has no family, no one visits, so I am sure she will be only too pleased to see you. So she has already informed the author the fact that none of the family members of Mrs. Connie Macpherson has ever visited her. So after many years, someone has come at least to visit Mrs. Connie Macpherson. That's why this matron was excited and this matron was very happy. So I am sure she will be only too pleased to see you. She took me into a conservatory with wicker chairs and potted plants all around and left me. So the matron brought this man into a conservatory where she was sitting. That means Mrs. Connie Macpherson was sitting. The old lady was sitting in a wheelchair, her hands folded in her lap. She had silver white hair pinned into a wispy bun. She was gazing out at the garden. So, what was she doing? She was gazing at the garden. And how was she dressed? That has been already mentioned in these two lines. She had a silver white hair pinned into a wispy bun. So, as you can see in the picture itself, she was gazing out into the garden. Hello, I said. She turned and looked up at me vacantly. Happy Christmas, Connie. I went on. So, this man introduced himself to Connie and wished her happy Christmas. Now look into the word which has been used by the author over here, that is vacantly. So when this man introduced himself to Mrs. Connie Macpherson gave a very vacant expression. Now perhaps this expression was given by Connie Macpherson because she was unable to identify the author, because she has never seen this author before and she is 101 years old, so it's not possible for her even to remember the known persons, and on top of that this is an unknown person. So that might be the reason, because I think vacant expression is given whenever a person is in a confused state or whenever a person fails to identify something. I found this. I think it's yours. So the author returned the letter and told her that I think it's yours, so it belongs to you. You keep it with you. As I was speaking, her eyes never left my face. I opened the tin box and gave it to her. That was the moment her eyes lit up with recognition and her face became suffused with a sudden glow of happiness. I explained about the desk, about how I had found it, but I don't think she was listening. For a while, she said nothing but stroked the letter tenderly with her fingertips. So the author was continuously explaining how he got this letter, and then he tried to return this to her, but she was not listening to that. She was continuously staring at the author and she was thinking something else. Suddenly she reached out and took my hand. Her eyes were filled with tears. "You told me you would come home by Christmas, dearest," she said, "and here you are, the best Christmas present in the world. Come closer, Jim dear. Sit down." So this paragraph sums up the entire story. You see, this lady waited for her husband's return after the war, but perhaps her husband never returned. So now she is thinking this author to be her husband. Okay, because she is 101 years old, and it's not possible for her to think anything logically at this stage of her life. So she is considering this man to be her husband. I sat down beside her and she kissed my cheek. "I read your letters so often, Jim, every day." So she is even addressing the author as Jim. Okay. "I wanted to hear your voice in my head. It always made me feel you were with me. And now you are. Now you are back. You can read it to me yourself. Would you do that for me, Jim dear? I just want to hear your voice again." So you see how much she longed for the return of her husband. So perhaps she had suffered a lot when her husband didn't return. And now, after so many years seeing this author, she is trying to relieve those memories. Okay, and thinking this author as her husband, she is treating with him like a husband and wife relationship. Okay, to be more precise, a husband wife relationship. She is trying to show this man. "I would love that so much, and then perhaps we will have some tea. I have made you a nice Christmas cake, marzipan all around." So you see, the memory of marzipan is always with her. The marzipan was given by Connie Macpherson to Jim Macpherson when he went to war. So marzipan is the sign of or the symbol of her love for her husband Jim Macpherson, and it remained the same. She's thinking about marzipan now also. She's telling the author that I've prepared one marzipan for you, so you have to eat that. "I know how much you love marzipan." So she remembers everything, and apart from the fact that it's not possible for her to think everything logically now. So she is making this mistake, but she is happy. Now, if a question comes that what according to you is the best Christmas present in the world to Connie Macpherson, your answer will simply be the presence of the author in the form of Jim Macpherson. That means this return of the author in the form of Jim Macpherson, according to Connie Macpherson, is the best Christmas present in the world. And also that letter, you can also mention about the letter, because that letter bears the memory of Jim Macpherson. So this is it. I think I made it clear to you. In my next video, I'm going to discuss a new topic, and I'll give you the question answers as early as possible. So stay safe and have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you.